Hey everyone, so we all want to eat better, right? I mean, I know I certainly do, but who has the time or the energy? And that's why I love Factor. It's 2 minutes, real food, done. There was a moment I realised that cooking healthy just wasn't happening for me. I'm not failing at healthy eating, I'm just often out of hours. But Factor is brilliant and it removes that struggle. It's chef prepared, dietitian designed and delivered straight to your door. You heat it up in 2 minutes and you're set. The food is amazing. Think lean proteins, vibrant veggies, healthy fats. There's none of those refined sugars or artificial additives. Now, my personal favourite, my go-to currently is the chicken teriyaki bowl. It's fantastic, especially on busy nights. It's brilliant. But with 100 rotating meals each week, you can choose what fits your goals, whether that's high protein, calorie smart, you name it. It's always fresh, never frozen, no prep, no cleanup, eliminating the reasons that you don't eat better. I absolutely love Factor and you will too. It really is the best way to eat healthy without the hassle. Now you can head to factormeals.com/lifeofmine50off and use the code lifeofmine50off to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for a whole year. The offer valid only for new Factor customers with the code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. But trust me, you can make healthier eating easy with Factor.
Lemonada.
You can listen to every episode of This Life of Mine ad-free with Lemonada Premium. You'll get access to a quick-fire round of questions with this week's guest, and I mean quick-fire, really quick, like 2 minutes or less. Just tap that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or head to lemonadapremium.com to subscribe on any other app. That's lemonadapremium.com. Hello and welcome to This Life of Mine, the show where our guests pick the places, people, possessions, music and memories that have made them who they are. My guest today is an Oscar, Emmy and Golden Globe nominated British actor who first appeared on our screens in 90s classics such as Circle of Friends, Sleepers and Good Will Hunting. She is also an incredible author, releasing her excellent memoir, Managing Expectations, in 2022. She also has, and I should say this to you, dear podcast listener, a brilliant podcast called Minnie Questions. She's had incredible guests and you should go and check it out. Courtney Cox, Debbie Harry, Cindy Crawford, to name but a few. She is a wonderful guest. I used to love it every time she came by my last show and I'm thrilled she's here at this show. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Then take us away.
I'm Minnie Driver. Welcome to This Life of Mine.
How are you?
All right.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see you.
I know, it's very nice to see you.
I feel like you're a perfect guest for this show because you seem very comfortable looking back at your life. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
Is that since the memoir or have you always been good at sort of having a rear view mirror?
I think my rear view mirror was full of regret before I had my son. And
Right.
I think after my son and then since the advent of my lovely relationship with my boyfriend, I enjoy looking back because I really enjoy now.
Yes.
And I think once you're stable in your now, you can look back and not feel like it's going to consume you.
That's exactly right. You can't be comfortable looking back unless you're comfortable now.
Exactly.
I'd never even thought of that before.
That's why I came on your show, James, to school you.
Give me these glorious snippets of wisdom.
Drop some wisdom bombs.
Well, we've asked you to pick a person, a possession, place, memory, movie, and a piece of music. We're going to start with your piece of music. What have you chosen to share with us today?
I've chosen the song Tidal Wave by Bomb the Bass, which is from their 1995 album Clear. Even though it is credited to a songwriter called River, that is actually me. when I was 17. I was trying to figure out where I was going, and like when I listen to that song, I hear everything that I wanted. Like I was just trying stuff out, and it's so guileless in a way. I was just having a go with these really talented producers and really thinking that I could will this into happening.
I think you are the first person to choose a piece of music that they're involved in, but I do understand why. How did you... Now, so tell me about this, your riff, but you're in a different band?
So music was what I always wanted to do. I mean, I was always acting, but music was really the thing. And I was in this band that didn't even really have a name when we got signed to Island.
Island Records.
We got signed to Island Records with a development deal. Atticus Ross and his brother Milo Ross and this other guy called Adam and me. And it was kind of a pre-Massive Attack. It was that kind of vibe. It was really cool. I mean, you listen to At's music now. He writes with Trent Reznor and like they've won all kinds of Oscars. Exactly. Yeah. Like that's what he went on to do. But this was very sort of proto West London. Like it was such an incredibly vibey, amazing time. And we were making this record and all the money just disappeared.
Right.
And we never really finished a record and it was kind of a disaster. But there was this particularly wonderful man called Sean Oliver. I don't know why, but he took a liking to me and like believed in me as a songwriter. And once we got dropped by Island, he was helping me get another deal. And he introduced me to Tim Simonon, who was, again, sort of around and DJing and was this cool producer. And Tim was like, yeah, we should do a track together. And so we did this track, Tidal Wave. And, you know, it's so funny, like, listening to it because the music is timeless. Like, that record is so cool. Like, everyone should go and check it out because Nena Cherry did a vocal on a track. Like, it's really cool.
You were sort of in that 90s British kind of rave scene.
Yeah.
Did you get an acting job or someone said, oh, you should come and audition for this project?
I didn't really do all the drugs with everybody else. I was always driving the car and there was another girl who was also sort of sober and we'd invariably meet at the end of these mad raves up the A40.
Right.
With all of the casualties.
Up the A40 is not a club. It's not a euphemism. Motorway. It's not a euphemism for anything. It's a motorway. It's what you would call a freeway. It's a bit like saying, I met her up the 101, you know, which then also for British listeners is also not a euphemism. Yeah.
That's exactly correct. And I partied all summer with this girl. She was so lovely. And we never really talked about, I don't know what we did. We talked about life and what we wanted to do and all this other stuff. And then eventually at the end of the summer, I think I wrote in the book, you could feel September bench pressing in the parking lot, like waiting for the calendar to tick over and like partying's over. Now you got to face up to the fact that you got no job. You're not an actor. You're not a musician. You're not actually getting paid to do anything. What the fuck are you going to do?
Sure.
And this girl was like, so what do you do? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm trying to do this, trying to do that. She went, oh, I work for a casting director. You should come and meet her. Come on Monday. And it was now, 7 a.m. on Sunday morning up the A40. And so I did. And this amazing casting director, Leo Davis, I don't know what she thought I was, but I sort of rumbled into her offices off the Portobello Road and was like, hi. And I guess she thought I was funny. And she called her friend who was an agent who said, yeah, no, we saw her in her showcase at drama school. She's rubbish. and the casting director was like, no, seriously. I think she's all right. I think you should meet her. So then I got this lovely agent.
But you got a job pretty fast, right?
Well, she said, I'll take you on. And if you get a job in a month, then I'll keep you on the books. I got a play at the Oldham Coliseum up north and it was really exciting. So I did that. And then I started doing telly. And then I was carrying on doing the music, trying to get that going. And
were you acting in a sense where you were going, well, I'm doing this, but music's still my passion?
Yeah.
Has that ever changed, actually?
No. I had this moment right after Good Will Hunting, so it was probably like in 98. And I went and had this big meeting with Tommy Mottola, big head of Sony.
He like found Mariah Carey and all these huge artists.
Amazing. He'd heard stuff that I'd done, and I was sitting in front of him, and he was like, yeah, we've got Jennifer Lopez. She's going to be the Latina crossover, and you're going to be the new Sheryl Crow. It's going to be great. I was like, excellent. I was like, and I'll write everything. And he was like, no. And I wish someone had just said, do you know what? You're all right with your writing. Like, your writing's going to be there, mate. Just make 3 records. Just go and make records with them. Just go do it.
And then write.
Yeah. But I didn't have that kind of managerial mentorship, sadly. I didn't have anyone standing over my shoulder going, I promise you it's a good idea to just do this deal and just go do this. I don't really have many regrets, but I wish I'd taken that deal and gotten to a place where I could then just write music and do my thing. But I didn't. And that's also cool. It went on. It was a totally different. I'm not very good at being famous. I wasn't comfortable. I didn't know how to do it. I always said the wrong fucking thing and was too much the boy pointing the finger in the Emperor's New Clothes to really be okay.
Something I've really lived my life by is just this notion of, well, I'd rather regret doing something than not doing something. If you can go, well, I know why I did it and I did this and at least I did it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Your career is extraordinary. I think you were one of the first people that I can remember seeing going, no, look, she's gone to America and look, it's just an absolute triumph. And we're going to talk about that now. Let's move on to your film choice, your movie, and you've once more picked one of your own productions, and it is brilliant. Tell us the film that you want to talk about.
The film is Grosse Pointe Blank.
Brilliant film, by the way.
The thing is, if you make art, we all know there's 1,000,001 things that we could choose to talk about. But if you're talking about my life, and I'm an actor, choosing a film that also was such a revolutionary moment feels pertinent, not just narcissistic. I'd never made art the way that Cusack set it up to be made. In that he come from Chicago with this amazing troupe of actors. Yeah. He'd had a theatre company there called New Crime, and they all just transplanted to Los Angeles. And he had this amazing sort of studio loft space in Venice with a half basketball court inside. And it was this place of mad creativity and basketball and music and best joke wins and writing things and talking about what we're making. And, just a very regular audition as an actor. I got sort of vaulted into this because I read with Cusack. And we had this massive connection. And then he said, well, you should just come and hang out and we should see what's up, which I did. And what I realized was the way that they make things is it is this moving creative train. And if you want to jump on board and make stuff, then do that and be willing. And I was. So now we're making this film and the script isn't really that good. And everyone knows the script isn't really that good.
Really?
It's kind of this great idea. Hitman goes back to his 10-year high school reunion, reconnects with the girl he dumped when he disappeared to become a hitman. And we needed to shoot the film. So we shot a couple of days, and I remember it wasn't really that it was disastrous, but it just wasn't funny and it wasn't working in the way that I think he knew it could. So he went to Joe Roth, who was then head of Disney, and said, can we just improvise? Will you just give us, give us a week and watch the dailies and tell me if you don't think that it's great. And George Armitage, who was the director, bless his heart, was kind of, I think, forced to kind of go along with this.
Sure.
So then there we all were, either in Venice at New Crime or in a hotel in Pasadena. And it was D.V. DiVincentis and Steve Pink, who were John's co-writers on Grosse Pointe Blank, and me. And we sat there bouncing ideas going, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is the beginning of the scene. Martin Blanc comes to Debbie's house. We need to show that there is this history between these two. And she's got to not make it easy for him. And it's got to be hot. So what does that look like? And we improv'd the whole thing.
How are you? It's good to see you. You look great. How long has it been? 10 years? How long has it been?
Since you stood me up on prom night and vanished without a word?
Yeah. 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There would be these pages that were still sort of hot off the press that we go the next day, and there was this immediacy and this piracy about the way in which we were doing it. And it felt like we were going to go up in flames every single day, but we didn't. And it got funnier and funnier and more sort of rooted in the insanity of the story. I'd made Sleepers and I'd made Big Night and I'd made Circle of Friends before this. This was sort of a revolution of the way in which you make films. And I knew that this was in a bubble and that I probably wasn't going to make a film like this again, because it was like a runaway train. It was amazing.
I mean, it was also a huge success. The reviews for this film are incredible. I think it makes a lot of people's top 5 lists of all time. And then you had this other film in 1997, Good Will Hunting. And then suddenly it's like Oscar nomination. You are at this moment, arguably without question, one of the most in-demand actors at that time, right?
Yeah.
Did it feel like that? Were you aware of that?
Yeah. It was terrifying. It was rabid.
Go on, why?
There was this low hum of menace of like, if you stop, it will all go away.
Yeah.
So it was predicated on fear as opposed to enjoyment and revelry and like fun, which it had always been up to that point, and which I've sort of recovered now. But it suddenly became this thing which I don't know if other people experience that, where you're sort of white knuckling it, going, I've just got to hang on, and oh, what if I make a mistake with the next film that I make, and what happens, and oh my God. And instead of it just being this great, fun ride, it became terrifying, and everything was under the microscope.
Have you found that easier, or have you felt one step removed from that since moving back to Britain?
I think I felt it before. I tell you what, you have to lose it all. You really do. You have to ostensibly lose it all. I never lost it all, but I definitely lost that chasing of being the hottest, most in-demand actor, because I had a baby, and I had a baby by myself, it turned out. And I had to call my agent and go, I need a TV show that's called Shoots in Los Angeles, so that my baby is going to grow up with tea time and mates and football and regular, and not on the bandwagon shooting an independent film in Romania, which, God bless them, I'll go see those all day long. But I didn't want that life for him.
Yeah.
And I needed a regular income. So I made this hard turn into television, which was incredible, into network television, which is pretty vicious schedule-wise, like 26 episodes of anything doesn't really even exist anymore. You work 9 months of the year, you're extremely well paid, and you have a routine. And so it was hard, but it was also really good, because I was so grateful to be able to build this life for Henry. And in building that life with him, I suddenly realized all of this other stuff was a wonderful story. And I don't know, since moving back here, I'm really happy, working. I work pretty much all the time, whether it's TVs or movies. It's much more joyful now. Maybe because I don't need it so much.
I've been thinking about my goals for 2026, and I've decided I want to eat healthier, which means I'm probably going to need some kind of dietitian who won't judge me for loving chocolate and chips. I want to stick to a workout plan. So yeah, I'm going to need a personal trainer who'll text me things like, James, seriously, get out of bed now. And honestly, a therapist wouldn't hurt, just to talk me through all of that stuff. But here's the thing. It's hard to find people who are so good at what they do. If you're hiring, how do you find the best people for all of the different roles on your team? Well, it's easy. ZipRecruiter. And right now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/lifeofmine. ZipRecruiter's matching technology works fast to find top talent, so you're not wasting time or money. You can see right away how many qualified job seekers are in your area. And with ZipRecruiter's advanced resume database, you can instantly unlock top candidates' contact info. It's no wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site on G2. So whether it's your business goals or my personal trainer, ZipRecruiter helps you find the right people. Let ZipRecruiter help you find the best people for all of your roles. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Just see for yourself. Go to this exclusive web address right now to try. ZipRecruiter.com/lifeofmine. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/lifeofmine. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Hey everyone, so we all want to eat better, right? I mean, I know I certainly do, but who has the time or the energy? And that's why I love Factor. It's 2 minutes, real food, done. There was a moment I realised that cooking healthy just wasn't happening for me. I'm not failing at healthy eating, I'm just often out of hours. But Factor is brilliant and it removes that struggle. It's chef prepared, dietitian designed and delivered straight to your door. You heat it up in 2 minutes and you're set. The food is amazing. Think lean proteins, vibrant veggies, healthy fats. There's none of those refined sugars or artificial additives. Now, my personal favourite, my go-to currently is the chicken teriyaki bowl. It's fantastic, especially on busy nights. It's brilliant. But with 100 rotating meals each week, you can choose what fits your goals, whether that's high protein, calorie smart, you name it. It's always fresh, never frozen, no prep, no cleanup, eliminating the reasons that you don't eat better. I absolutely love Factor and you will too. It really is the best way to eat healthy without the hassle. Now you can head to factormeals.com/lifeofmine50off and use the code lifeofmine50off to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for a whole year. The offer valid only for new Factor customers with the code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. But trust me, you can make healthier eating easy with Factor. Let's move on to your memory, which is really wrapped up in this kind of in what we're talking about in a sense.
It is.
Tell us the memory that you've chosen to talk about today.
All right. Well, the memory is not getting to sing at the Oscars. So, Phantom of the Opera, 2003, we shot that film. I'm a singer, but I'm not a high soprano. And that part, she needs to be a high soprano. So Andrew Lloyd Webber got the amazing opera singer Margaret Priest to voice the part.
To voice the role that you were playing in Phantom of the Opera.
To voice the role that I was playing, exactly.
Okay.
I would sing along. I would sing down or I'd sing the harmony. He knew I could sing. At the end of the film, he said, I want you to sing the title track to the film. I've written this song. It's called Learn to Be Lonely. And I was thrilled and it was amazing. And then the song got nominated for an Oscar. And I'm in rehearsals to sing at the Oscars. And it just was so fantastic. This movie that I loved, that I was part of, had the best time filming. Gil Cates, he's now deceased, the producer of the Oscars, came in one day and was like, yeah, you're not singing at the Oscars anymore. And I was like, what? And Andrew Lloyd Webber was like, what? Beyonce's singing. Beyonce's singing all the songs. Beyonce and Antonio Banderas are singing all the songs at the Oscars. I think my manager was like, wait, what? What are you talking about? And, you know, it was like a ratings thing and it was this big punt, which obviously like, they've never done again, but it was very, very strange.
So this is how many days before the...
Three weeks, maybe a month. I was so invested. I felt like this was my song. This was my movie. I was in this movie. Like, how can you sort of have this taken away? And there was a sense of powerlessness around the kind of version of Hollywood where you can just have stuff taken away and be disinvited. And I was incredibly sad. And I was sad at my reaction. I was sad that I cared so much. I was like, this is absurd. Like Beyonce singing your song at the Oscar, like who gives a fuck? Like whatever, she's Beyonce. Don't give it a second thought. But I couldn't let it go. And I was devastated. So one of my best mates, Emma, said, oh, fuck it. Let's just go on holiday. Let's go away. Let's go surf. You love to surf. Let's go to Costa Rica and you can surf. I'll sit on the beach. So we go and we land in the middle of the night in San Jose, and you have to get on a smaller plane to take an interior flight in Costa Rica. And we get on a plane and it's meant to be a 20-minute flight, and about 45 minutes in, I'm looking out and there's no ocean, there's no nothing. And I go up to the pilot and I'm like, Costa Rica? And he's like, no, Panama. Literally at like 4 a.m, we got dropped off in the middle of the jungle in Panama with literally people with goats and chickens in cages getting back on the plane. There was no room for us to get back on the plane. We were dropped with our wheelie bags and Emma like in her slingbacks. You can hear the toucans and the pumas growling, and that was it. The plane took off and we were just left. As we traipsed through the jungle with our broken heels and our broken wheelie bags, just waiting to, I don't even know what for, it felt so existential. I suddenly realized just the complete absurdity of all of it, of worrying about something like that so much that you had to get away, that you wound up in the Panamanian jungle, like with your wheelie bag, and that I'd let it get to me. And I don't know what it was, but I just made a decision. I was like, I'm absolutely 1000% done with allowing an industry or an idea or anything that I make to sort of rule my mental health and the way that I feel. And when I came back to LA, I went and stopped and I went and lived in a guest house and I just surfed and I played music and I wrote my first record and completely and utterly disengaged from all of it. And I went there for about 9 months and I came back and found my mobile home park by the sea, sold everything, bought my trailer, moved in, and my life really changed.
Your memoir in 2022 is called Managing Expectations. That's really what we're talking about, right? Is that you had an idea of what this was going to be like. I'm going to sing at the Oscars.
Yeah.
This is going to be great. It's my song. I sung it. It's the hope that kills you. It's the expectation of what it becomes in your mind.
Yes.
More than it is what's actually happened.
Yeah, and it's like, what will people think? I got fired from that job and replaced by, Beyonce. You know what was actually the great addendum to that story is that the guy who won that year, he won for the Motorcycle Diaries. He was actually a doctor called Jorge Drexler. He, as well, had been replaced by Antonio Banderas. And when instead of giving a speech, he got up and he just sang his song.
Wow.
It was very cool. It was very stupid of them to do all of that. Like, at that moment was so ridiculous.
Let's move on to your possession. Tell us the possession you've chosen for the show today.
My possession is my house, which isn't actually a house. It is a mobile home. And a mobile home, by definition, is a house that does not have a foundation. And you rent the land. You don't even own the land. And it is so perfectly impermanent. It's a fantastic metaphor, but it's also an absolute sanctuary. My little cottage by the sea. I live right on the break that I surf in Malibu. And when I almost lost it in the fires, in the Woolsey fires in 2018, I was actually at work. I was working on this TV show. And someone called me and went, my God, the Woolsey fire, which had started in the Simi Valley a long way away. They were like, it's just jumped the PCH. And I turned the TV on and I literally saw...
Which is the road that runs from the ocean to essentially the residential area of Malibu.
Yeah. I live on the beach side of it. And I turned the TV on and as I turned on the news, there was this motel 100 feet from the beginning of my little community that was on fire. He had this huge palm tree in front of it. And I watched the palm tree, the top of it, explode like a firework. And I knew that we were like done for. And the feeling of all that was going to be lost was so devastating. And only after a few days did it turn out that there were 10 men, 2 of them retired firemen, in our little community who decided they refused to evacuate. And they stayed. And I guess when you retire from the fire department, you get given like a ceremonial hose.
Right.
They literally flagged down a passing truck that was on its way to like the big $20 million houses up the road, got them to open the fire hydrants. And the guys were like, we can't stop, we got to go. There are people. Blah, blah, blah. They used the 2 hoses that they had. They dug fire lines and they fought the fire. And this one of their sons, who was about 15 or 16, stayed. And he went and he got everybody's hoses, like our garden hoses were left outside. And he wet down all of our roofs so that if cinders blew across, they would have less chance of catching. And these 10 guys and this kid, they saved all of our homes. That house, that little tiny place, it has been an absolute sanctuary for me. Like when I came back from Hawaii and when I was like, if I'm going to stay here and carry on doing this, everything needs to be different. Like the way in which I belly up to work, life, approbation, being asked to the party, being asked to the Met Gala, being not asked. How am I going to live my life? It starts here. And it really did. And like the Pacific Ocean and that little house and deciding to kind of be a different way, everything was born in that little place. So my attachment to it as a possession, I'm not really attached to much. My kid, my house, my boyfriend, my guitar, my dog.
You met Addison, your partner, basically around this time because of the fires, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell me that story? What happened?
Oh my God, it all sounds so implausible and I promise you it's true. I've been in a very long relationship with someone who turned out to be an absolute rotter. I found out he'd been having a relationship with somebody else for a good part of our relationship, and that all happened 2 weeks before the fires.
Right.
I'm in a state of heartbreak, but also these guys in our community who fought the fire, they're now running out of stuff. Like, they get a FEMA meal a day, which is like an emergency meal, but they're running out of gloves and eye wash from the smoke and chocolate and booze and any kind of luxuries, hand soap, sanitizer. So I get it into my head in this state of heartbreak and slightly manic. I need to go and deliver supplies. But the Coast Guard had issued no ship to shore because people were looting, and it was, you would get arrested. So I was like, okay, well, I've still got to do it. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't do this by myself, because I had this plan. Jump in the water, go to the beach, get the paddle boards, load up the stuff, paddle it in. That was my plan. I was like, well, I need someone to do this with. I called everyone. Everyone was like, are you mad? Mm-hmm. Hard no. You were an idiot. No, don't do this. But I wouldn't be stopped. So I just kept going through my phone book. And I came across this guy who I'd met very briefly at this really interesting lunch a couple of years before. And I remembered he made documentaries in places of conflict, and he was a really interesting cat. So I went, oh, that guy, that is a good person to call. So I called him, and he was like, hello. I was like, hi, do you remember me? We met at a party, and he was like, yeah. I was like, are you in LA? And he was like, no, not currently. I was like, where are you? And he's like, I'm in the Middle East. Oh, he was like, well, I'm coming back on the weekend. Well, why? And I said, well, I need you to help me deliver stuff to this community. My house almost burnt down and my neighbors are stuck. And he was like, all right, so you want to launch a sea-based incursion? I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I want to do.
Sure.
So this guy shows up. I'm not joking. A satellite phone and a bomb-proof case and snacks.
Wow.
And I think he thought there would be other people, and it was just me, like, smoking cigarettes and, like, really thin and, like, not healthy or stable. And he was like, oh, boy. And bless his heart, he got in the boat with me and did indeed get chased by an armed Coast Guard, and we got stranded, and we did deliver everything, and we got stuck in my house, sweeping up ash and sitting on the deck waiting for the Coast Guard to basically change shifts so that we could get back in the water. And we spent this day, and he was kind of marooned with me. And I said, I'm terribly sorry. I know you're stuck here, but, like, can I just ask you questions about men? Because you're a bloke and you're clever. He answered every question about why men cheat, why men do the things they do. Like, he was absolutely brilliant. He was like the best bloke jukebox. And I was like, I'm never going to see him again because I'm mad and heartbroken, and he's never going to want to see me again. But he did. And then it turned into the most unlikely relationship of my life that is, without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest.
This all really leads us to your place.
Yeah.
Because it couldn't be more connected to what you're just talking about. Tell us the place that you wanted to talk about on the show.
So the place is the geographical point where I surf. It's where I live, and it is where I surf when I'm home every day. And it is completely magical. It never fails to astonish me, like how different it is. Even though I've walked it a million times, I've with my surfboard at every hour of the day or night, I've walked that beach to the place that I surf, gotten in the water, watched the water, sat in the water, surfed the waves. And it never gets old. It is never anything except new and beautiful and satisfying and immense. It's really hard to explain. I don't think I love, apart from Henry, I don't love anything in the world as much as I love the Pacific Ocean in that one particular place.
Do you miss it? You must miss
like
it a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because being in the water is quite an important thing for you.
Yeah.
So are you just constantly taking baths now you live back in Britain?
I go to the Russian baths and I do the cold plunge in the sauna. I go to East Sussex.
Right.
I go to Basque Country in France. I surf there and I love that.
Right.
Surfing the Atlantic is totally different and amazing. Like, it's warm. I can't believe it after surfing freezing cold water my whole life. That's amazing. My holidays are basically built around where I can surf.
How are you feeling being back in the UK now? Because this is the second time in your life that you've lived somewhere else and come back to the UK, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first time you were very young, what about we? 6,
Yeah.
7?
7, yeah.
You moved back because your parents split up, right? Is that what happened?
Yeah, when my mum left my dad. Yeah.
Where were you living then?
We were we were all over the place. We were in the south of France. We were in Barbados. We were in both those places. So then coming back to deepest, darkest Hampshire in the beginning of autumn was quite a shock. This time, it was hard for 2 years since we moved back in 2020.
What was your decision for moving back? Because you
My
loved,
kid.
Okay.
Yeah. It was Henry going, I'm going to lose my mind if I have to do Zoom school until the schools open in California.
Yes.
I mean, they really didn't go back fully open.
2 years.
Yeah.
2 years, yeah.
So he said, can I just go for a term? I had to finish this movie Cinderella, which you were also in.
Yes.
And so we were like, yeah, let's go back. We'll go for a term. He'd just go to local school with my sister's kids in London. So that was the idea. And then he was loving it. And he was like, could we just finish the school year? So I was like, yeah, perfect. 6th grade.
Good
we'll
idea.
just do it. It's great. We'll go back. And then my mum died in 2021 in March. And it was such a huge tear in the time-space continuum.
Mm-hmm.
And was just sort of completely lost. We took this tree to the school that she went to, that I went to, that pretty much all my family went to. We went to plant her this tree as a memorial, and Henry came and, he looked around the school and he was just like, this is nuts. Like, this is unbelievable. This is incredible. He was like, could I go here? And it really was Addison. It was my other half going, we could do this. Like, why not? Why everything's still sort of shut and weird and who knows what's happening? Why don't we let's just do this. Let's just see where it leads us.
What did he call the move? What kind of incursion were we talking about with the move?
This must have been a reversion incursion. And then there we were. We found myself back in West London and I felt like I had vertigo. Like, it was so weird. I was sort of seeing people and they were still walking down the Portobello Road and down the market, and it was just so weird. I was like, did my whole adult life actually not happen? I'm just back here doing the same stuff. I'm down the market on a Friday buying veg. I'm going to go and cook a Sunday roast. Like, what is happening? Why I'm not surfing in California? It was all so tied up in grief of my mum, And I wrote this book, and that helped heal lots of things, and particularly the grief around her dying. And I wrote about her dying, and we kind of got more settled, and Henry was so happy and thriving and just doing so well. Been a pretty sort of middling student his whole life, and suddenly he was just brilliant at all these different things, and sport and school, and watching him thrive. I was like, go on, you have to thrive too. You have to find a way to thrive.
Well, anybody doubting how important Henry is in your life, let's move on to the person that you've chosen for today's show. Who do you want to tell us about?
The person that I've chosen is my son, Henry.
Tell me about Henry.
Well, Henry is the most interesting person I know. And he is almost certainly the funniest.
None taken. Carry on.
He cracks me up. He knows how to turn a joke. His timing is 7 times out of 10, it is bang on. And the other times it's so nightmarishly off, it's also funny. He changed the way that I looked at my whole life. As an actor, as a performer, you are your own brand, right? You are wholly invested in you. You can't help but have a slightly sort of myopic narcissism. You are self-regarding. You're the show. You're the thing. And that is really good and interesting and great. And it can also be a little bit lonely. It shuts out an awful lot of other stuff, or it certainly did in my life. And, when I found out very unexpectedly that I was pregnant, I was terrified and didn't know how I was going to do it and what that was going to look like. And Henry's dad was a person who had never wanted children. This was not something that was planned. I can't put any of this blame on him. But I did say, look, I'm having this baby. I don't expect anything from you, but I am having this baby. This feels miraculous. And so I had this giant 10-pound baby that is not for the faint of heart to naturally give birth to a 10-pound baby. And so I remember bringing him home from the hospital, and I put the car seat on, I had this big island in the middle of the kitchen. And I remember I put the baby on the car seat, and I think my mum was upstairs getting the bags, but it was just him and me in the house. And we just we looked at each other and we both burst into tears and started wailing. And my mum came in and she was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, I don't know. He knows I can't do this. He knows I'm going to be shit at it. And so it began. There was something about the expansion of love that I just didn't think was possible, and how humbling it is to be solely responsible for another human life, particularly at 3 a.m. when they've got a temperature and the doctor tells you down the phone, take your nightie off and put the baby skin to skin on you and his temperature will regulate to yours. And it works. You're miraculously symbiotic with this tiny creature. I liked who I became. He'd be horrified to hear me say this. I thank him all the time for who he turned me into, because it was definitely him.
Who was Minnie Driver before and who is she today?
I was really scrappy, and creativity and making art and making things, whether it was music or films or telly, it was everything. There wasn't anything outside of it. I just wanted to make stuff. I missed funerals, I missed christenings, I missed weddings, birthdays. I missed everything of my friends' lives growing up, because I wanted to do this thing so much, and I loved it. And then, after Henry, I found a way of loving it, but realizing that life is so much bigger than just that single-mindedness. There could be both, and that actually I was sort of much calmer and less worried all the time by letting sort of my heart expand to love other things and be present for other things. And now it all just sort of rolls along. And I mean, I constantly, not only did the wheels come off the train, I'm there with a wrench, taking the wheels off and throwing them out the window, going, look, the wheels are off. And Henry and Addison are so resolutely brilliant, sort of laughing at me and not taking my emotion too seriously, leveling me, loving me. It's pretty cool.
Minnie Driver, your music is Tidal Wave by Bomb the Bass. Your movie is Grosse Point Blank. Your memory is not getting to sing at the Academy Awards. Your possession is your house in Malibu. Your place is the point where you surf. And your person is your son, Henry. Thank you for sharing this life of yours. Next week is this.
I'm Brandy Carlisle. Welcome to this life of mine. I was going to be baptized alongside this other kid, and the pastor, he says, do you practice witchcraft or homosexuality? And I said, well, I'm gay. And he said, if you can't denounce witchcraft and homosexuality today, I can't baptize you. I wrote I love Elton John on my notebooks at school. I had E and J on my shoes. He became my great hero.
You now have a friendship with Elton John.
Yeah, talk every single day.
Every day?
Every day, at least once.
Stop.
Neah Bay is the northernmost tip of the United States, and I've been going there since I was 6 or 7 to go fishing. It's the place where we all go to just check in with our sort of Carlisle-ness one time and then go back out into the world and be who we are,
Have you ever invited Elton? Right now, I'm just loving the idea of Elton John head to toe in Gucci, trying to catch a fish.
Yeah.
If you haven't subscribed to Lemonada Premium yet, now is the perfect time. You can listen to This Life of Mine completely ad-free. Plus, you'll unlock exclusive quickfire rounds of questions with all of my guests. They're all in 2 minutes or less. Just tap that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or head to lemonadapremium.com to subscribe on any other app. Or you can listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership. That's lemonadapremium.com. Don't miss out.